All right, guys, it's Coach Evan back with some pro tips. And by the end of this video, you're gonna be able to identify 6 critical things why you aren't selling more. So as you identify them, I want you to put a big circle around 1 or 2 that you're gonna immediately take back and implement in your game to drive your sales through the roof. So pay attention throughout this whole video, and I'm gonna show you how to scale your business. But the winners, what they do is they look in the mirror and they say, that's my hole, that's the thing that I need to fix. The losers, they just wipe it under the rug. So don't be one of the losers, be one of the winners. That's why you're on Pro Tips. That's why you're stirred up for knowledge. So before I get into the tips, let me set the foundation before we even get into some tactical tips. Your attitude is gonna be the most critical thing that you can have when selling. I wanna explain something to you. I go to a bar in Denver all the time, that's where I'm from. There's one bar that I'll drive 20 or 30 minutes past another one just because the bartender and the staff know me. In talking to one of my bartender friends, it's called the cheers method. When you walk through the door, they're like, hey Evan, how's it going? How's the family? They just have an infectious attitude. They make you feel like you're at home. Even if your dealership or business and everybody isn't on the same page as you, so maybe they don't have that infectious environment, it's up to you to manage your customer's environment, but first you have to manage your state. So write it down. What does my attitude look like? Do I do a checkup from the neck up every single day? You'll never catch Andy Elliott with a bad attitude. It's never happened. In all the years that I've worked with him, he's got the most infectious attitude. That's what our team is known for. When you walk in the Lions Den, it's not even about sales skill. It's about the attitude. It's about the energy, right? What does your attitude and your energy look like every day? Are you in a state of gratitude? Or are you in a state of, I don't have everything that I need, and you're being a little crybaby freaking poopy pants? Come on, man. Check yourself right now. Write down attitude and ask yourself a question. Would you want to be around you? Would you want to buy from you? Are you one of those people that people would drive miles past the competitor just to come see you because your attitude makes them feel fired up? They're pumped up because you're freaking the greatest, man. That don't cost you nothing. Look, that's not sales skill. That's you actually believing that your life is great and you're selling a great product and you're just fired up on life. Guys, can we agree that the world needs a little bit more of that? In a world full of dead freaking uncommitted people is just walking around like amateurs, like let's be the pros. That's why we're here. It's pro tips, baby. Okay? So start out with your attitude. What does it look like? And then let's get into some tips. After attitude, what do you gotta have? Some damn work ethic. You know, I'm seeing more and more of this microwavable success influencer culture where it's like pop in, you wanna be successful, you wanna be a millionaire, you wanna make 200 grand, 100 grand, 500 grand, whatever. People think it happens overnight, man. They think you just pop some success in the microwave, heat that thing up, and then all of a sudden you're just a millionaire. It doesn't work like that. In fact, becoming a millionaire is gonna be the hardest thing that you ever do. Let me explain something to you. The hardest thing that you ever do. Making your first $1 million and actually being committed to something and committing to your word, those are gonna be the hardest things that you ever do. But once you get there, I assure you, the road is actually a little bit more simpler once you've learned to make 7 figures. So the pros actually understand what I'm saying here. What's your work ethic look like? Are you going to bed tired and waking up hungry every day? Are you going to bed tired and waking up hungry? Write that down. That should be one of your mentalities. Every day I'm gonna work my butt off, so when I put my head down, I'm like, man, I'm going to sleep. I remember when I first started with Andy, I used to tell Andy, dude, I just don't sleep at night that much, man. I'm always up. And Andy's like, you just don't work hard enough. After I started working with Andy for a couple of years, I realized that I just wasn't working inside of the time that I had at my dealership. Also, when Andy was coaching me, when I started working for Andy, everything with Andy is how much time are you putting in within that time that you're at your business? Right? Are you distracted? Are you on Instagram? Are you doing all this stuff? So you're actually wasting 2 or 3 hours a day, and then you're wondering why your numbers aren't where they need to be? It just comes down to your discipline and your work ethic. So ask yourself, am I working hard or do I want the easy life? You're going to have to do the hard stuff that other people don't want to do so you can live the life that they're not going to live. So understand, my work ethic, I want to have the ambition. I want you to think about this for a second. Do you have the ambition in yourself that you want other people to think that you're the most relentless, hardworking person that they've ever seen? That's my ambition when I come into work. I want people to be like, man, those twins, man, that Evan Macklin, man, he's a hard worker. He doesn't play games when he's here at work. Most people, if you ask around, they're probably gonna say that that person's distracted or that person's not constantly at work and actually doing the work. Okay, don't be that person. Number 2, it's gotta be your competency. Andy always tells us at the Elliott Group, he says, you gotta know your business better than everybody else. You gotta know your business better than everybody else. And his second rule is learn how to kick your own butt every day. You see, most people, they don't know how to kick their own butt. So I'm gonna challenge you right now. Are there questions that you get about your business every day that you're like, oh, I gotta go talk to my manager. Oh, I gotta go talk to the finance manager. Oh, I don't really know that. See, what happens is now you've like ruined the trust and rapport of you being the expert. You have to go get somebody else. So that's why you're always looking for a manager turn, a TO as we call it in the car business. You're looking for somebody else to come close your deals because you've lost the ability to make yourself look like the expert in front of the client. This is your job. This is your profession. The reason why we're talking about pro tips is because we want to make pro money. So we're going to have pro habits and we're going to get paid the pro type dollars. When your dealership, when your business hands you a freaking check, that ultimately makes you a pro, even if it's a little baby bitch ass check. Okay? But our goal is to not have those checks, right? So you got to become a pro. Write down the top 5 questions that you don't know right now, and I'm going to explain something. For me, it was stuff that was happening in the finance department. There were certain things that I didn't understand about money. So when I talked about money, I didn't look that confident. Maybe some of you guys can resonate with 5 questions that you feel like you're hiding from a customer right now. And it's one of the reasons why your rapport goes through into the shitter, because you don't know exactly how to handle that question. Okay, so write those down. If, like, let's just use mortgages, for example. If you're a loan officer, do you know the 5 questions that you're gonna get about a loan every single time? Like, these are things that we have to know and we have to have tattooed on our heart, so the second it comes up, we put it to bed. Number 3, guys, how to sell. You gotta get so stirred up on the mechanics of selling. So I'm gonna ask you a question right now, and this should identify if you're as stirred up as we are at the Elliott Group about knowledge. One of the things I love about Andy the most is when I'm on the road with him, we're traveling, we're going to speaking engagements, or he's coaching the team, or he's in the office, he's always got a book with him. Always. You always hear the stats like, the top 1% are always reading 12 to 15 books a year. It's definitely the truth. Are you right now so stirred up you've read Psycho Cybernetics, How to Win Friends and Influence People, Andy Elliott's Elite Sales Warrior Playbook, the Deadly Scripts book? Have you read it 4, 5, 10 times where you know it? Chris Voss's How to Split the Difference. I've read all of these things. I understand not just the concept, but how to implement them. You see, you have to know that. The thing about Andy Elliott is he's always in progress with his knowledge. Are you right now? If the answer was no on that, get you a book that has to do with selling. Get you a book that has to do with building rapport. Get you a book with having to lead customers, ask questions. Those are going to be the things that make you a millionaire. Those are going to be the things that make you money and give you freedom. But if you don't actually know how to sell, like every way to sell, you're crazy. Okay? So you got that. Get stirred up on knowledge, and I promise you, that could be the tip right there that just changes everything for you. Guys, number 4 tip is your identity. A lot of people right now, they just don't believe they're worth it. Let me freaking give you a news flash. You are worth it. You are worth the big bucks. You are investing in yourself. That's why you're on this. So right now, you're already increasing your identity because you're getting around a guy like me who does believe in you. You need to surround yourself with more people on the same mission as you. That's why I love coming to seminars. That's why I like paying the bigger bucks to be in the VIP rooms, because I like to be around people that are doing bigger things than me. So write this down. I must get around people that are doing bigger things than me. If in the last 6 months you haven't been around some people that are doing way bigger stuff than you, all of a sudden your identity is floating around here. When you get around these big people, all of a sudden you have these aha moments and you're like, if that guy can do it, so can I. When I saw that Andy Elliott made $700,000 selling cars and I was doing really well, I was making a couple $100,000, I was like, oh my gosh, I got so much more left inside of me. I sat next to a couple of guys at my first seminar that were doing different things than me, that were making more money than me. It got me so stirred up and I started believing that everything was possible. It raised my identity being around people that were doing bigger stuff than you. What'll happen is then imagine you're normally used to selling, let's use houses for example. You're normally used to selling a $300,000 home, right? When you go to sell $1 million home, you might not portray that confidence, and the buyer can kind of sense, hey, listen, this guy doesn't usually sell $1 million homes. I can feel it. You need to raise your identity. You need to be around some of these more richer people that are doing bigger stuff than you, so you portray that confidence. And there's only so much you can fake it till you make it. That only exists for so long. And then all of a sudden you have to become it. The way you become it is you get around other people, you start increasing your identity, you keep doing things like this, and you raise it, baby. Let's go. Number 5, guys, is your people skills. Listen, I love people skills because it's the thing that can push you the furthest, and it's the skill I believe that takes you so dang far. So what do your people skills look like? Are you like an awkward dude? Are you like one of those people who like can't look people in the eye? Your tonality is very monotone. Like, you've got to work on these skills right now, where you're not nervous in front of anybody. You're used to sizing people up. Your voice inflection changes people's state, right? The way that you do that and the way that I do that, I'm just gonna tell you a story. My wife almost hates going to dinner with me, and the reason why is because I'm always sizing people up. I'm like looking at the table next to us, and I'm like talking to her about what they're probably talking about. I'm looking at like, hey, does that guy look like a doctor? Does that guy look like a lawyer? What do you think that they do for a living? I'm constantly doing that. At my dealership, our salespeople, the running freaking cool thing around the dealership, it wasn't a joke, it was just cool for these people, was when people would get out of the car, Ian and I could identify a bumper sticker. We could identify the dad that got out of the car, what that third baseman looked like. We could identify and paint a picture of who these people were even before we talked to them, and then it would allow us to kind of mimic what we knew that they would want to hear and what they would want to see. You know, in Colorado, I knew by people's different dialect and tone and different stuff what part of the city they were from. Like, that's a part of your people skills. Like, I knew if they went to North High School, South High School, East High School, based off of what they would say. So are your people skills that good that when you get in front of somebody, number one, your tonality looks good, your handshake is fire, you're asking good questions, you're getting good answers, and you can kind of move in the direction that you know that they're gonna wanna go in because you're asking good questions. Now, some people ask questions that are like, they pry a little too weird on questions. Like, it doesn't have to be weird. Like, you can ask a good question like, hey, what motivated you to want to come in today? Hey, what motivated you to want to reach out and look at our product today? You know, what's your cycle look like on a product like this? You know, you got to just ask good questions that get people to talk about themselves. Talk to their kids. You know, the kids will freaking tell you everything when they walk into a store. What are their kids like? Hey, wife, what are you looking for to get out of this deal? What's gonna motivate you? And then can you magnify her motivators to wanna do business with you, right? Like, this is sales. What does your people skills look like? If that's your glaring hole, I want you to circle that sucker and write it down. And everywhere you go from now on, you're gonna be trying to make somebody's day. In a sales cycle, I try to wow somebody by 4 or 5 times every time I meet them, where they're almost like, wow, man, he's such a good person. That could be with positive compliments and affirmations toward themselves, positive like little tips and things where they're like, wow. I might be like, hey, look, you're a freaking phenomenal mother. I see how you are with your kids. Like, it's so awesome, so cool. You know, now I'm like getting on their side. Now they're like, wow, I like this guy. That's called people skills. So what does your charisma look like? What does your connection look like? And can you create it on command with anybody? Number 6, your belief in your product, man. When I was in the car business, I bled cars. Like, literally, if you cut me open, a freaking car would have just freaking fell out of it, right? Because I wore that badge of honor of being a car sales professional. In most industries, let's just take cars for example, if somebody asks people, what do they think about a car salesman? They'd say pushy, aggressive, thief, this, that, the list would go on. But guys, what do they say about you? Are they like, man, this person is a true pro? Like, that's a person that I want to do business with. That's a person that I want to make my person for life in that specific industry. Is that you? Okay, what does your belief look like in the product? What does your belief look like on Toyotas if you're selling them? What does your belief look like on Nissans? Man, I'm going to be honest with you. Nissans weren't the most attractive cars. You know, I sold them for 10 years. It wasn't the most attractive thing. But like, I believed in it. I believed in my dealership. I believed in me. I believed that if somebody went someplace else and didn't buy a Nissan from me, that they would get a service that was way, way freaking subpar compared to what I could deliver. Do you believe that? If you believe that, then you will sell like it. You will sell with a position of authority where they're like, okay, what is going on with this person? Like, I will buy from them over a Toyota, and I'm a Nissan salesman any day, even though most people think Toyota's a better product. But like, I believe in me. I believe in my product. I believe in my dealership. Okay, what's your belief look like, and do you believe for the dealership, the place that you're at? Like, gosh, I think if people just use their belief and then let other people borrow their belief and their courage, they would go so much further. Work on your belief. Let's go.